Hello. Hey everyone. All right. Thanks for joining me today. Just got to set up a couple things. There's a bit of a rush here to get on. Let me make sure all this everything I want to be open. So thanks for joining me, guys. We're gonna delve into Persian music here. We're gonna learn Avaz-e Esfahan. I hope you guys can all hear me. How's this? Yeah, it's working. Okay. Avaz-e Esfahan is a nice, beautiful mode, very popular mode in Persian music, and I'm going to show you how to play it on the Oud. We're going to learn part of a instrumental piece in Esfahan. It's going to be a nice little lesson, kind of like last time, and it's very similar to Hijaz. We're going to use some of the same notes that we have in the Hijaz, in Maqam Hijaz, so it's going to be similar there. Okay, let me see here if I can. I need to get the notes up there. That's okay, perfect. Okay, it's coming up. All right, there it is. Okay, we'll rearrange this size so you guys can see. Okay, it's looking good. All right, if you're just stopping by, thanks for putting any questions or comments in the chat. Love to read everything you guys are writing. Nice to see you, Robert. Thanks for the kind words there. And Nordine, nice to see you. And yeah. Okay, so Mahmoud, nice to see you. Thank you for joining. Tuning, good question. Okay, we're going to be in mostly standard tuning. You can use the standard Arabic do tuning or C to C tuning, and that would be here. I'll get this going here for you. Okay, so we have we've got C at the bottom here, G, D, A, and then for Persian music you usually tune this to G. So this is tuned to G, and then F is going to work too. So if you're tuned up for F tuning, for the F, that's fine. Keep it. Don't bother changing it. Anyway, this bass note can be C or D. I usually keep it to C. Now Esfahan is rooted in the key. Esfahan in this case, we're going to play it. I'll have to show you all the notes. Let's get this out of here. I'm going to put that back up. Zoom in on it. Bear with me, guys. Okay, excellent. Here we go. Now we're in business. Okay. Look at the key signature there. We've got F sharp. We've got a triangle symbol here on the E. That means E koron. Koron is our half flat, or a quarter flat, E half flat, if you will. And then we have B flat here. So that's our key signature. Very similar to Maqam Hijaz, except that we're very specific about the E in Persian music. The E is a little bit sharper than the quarter tone in Arabic Maqam Hijaz. So let's go over the notes. The tonic of Avaz-e Esfahan is going to be G. Then we have A, B flat, C, and D. Now let's go down from G. Go from G, F sharp, E koron. Koron is the half flat, and then D. So Esfahan is very specific. It's different from Hijaz in that Hijaz starting point is D. And ending point is D too. But Esfahan, G is the king. G is where the melodies begin. G is the starting point. And then we have this pausing note on the E half flat. Well, let's go again through these notes one more time. But the melodies always return to that G. So Esfahan is something that has a little bit of a vibe between Maqam Hijaz and Maqam Nahawand. Yeah, so let's go through the notes again. G, A, B flat, C, and D. Then on top of D we've got E half flat or E koron, F sharp, and G. Below G we've got F sharp, E koron. See how sharp that is? And then D. Below there we have C, B flat, A, and G. Now if you have your F string tuned to F, then you would use your finger for that G. Both tunings work for this. So let me play you a little bit of Esfahan just to get in the mood of it. So Esfahan starts at the G, kind of makes its way up and down, eventually has a nice pause on this E, makes its way down to D, and then comes back to G. We also often have this longing sound, this like really bendy sound between A and B flat too. This melody is very Esfahan melody. So you usually bend up there, slide up there with your first finger, slide down, and then land on G. So that's the essence of Esfahan, really. Very beautiful, very there's a lot of longing and feelings with this mode. Yeah, so let's go into this piece. If you have any questions, please get them out. Get them out in the chat. We'll cover them for sure. Oh yeah, and before I forget, I also this month, until the end of the month, I'm actually offering a half-price deal on trial lessons, trial Zoom lessons. So if you want to try one of my private lessons out for new students, you can take a trial lesson for half price. My regular price is $50, but you can get a half price $24.99. And I believe I've put the link in the description there if you're interested in doing that. So that's the promo until the end of the month. Another thing that's happening, what else is happening? I've got a Taqsim workshop happening at the end of July. That's July 31st. It'll be held for European time zones. and you can get I believe I have the details in the chat, in the description as well. One moment, let me bring that up here. And then we're going to get on, yeah, so the link to purchase a trial lesson is in the description. You can check that out. What happens is you make your payment, and then it takes you to my calendar where you actually book the lesson. So you have to make sure that you make the payment. It'll direct you to the calendar, and then you can choose the time there. If you can't find a time that works, email me. I might be able to do something. Otherwise, I'll give you a refund. But yeah, that's my offer until end of July. So you can try my lessons. Let's see here. Okay, let's get into the piece. Get that back up here. Okay, so this piece, let's talk about the rhythm. The rhythm is very, it's almost like a Sufi rhythm, or it's also used in Kurdish music. Doom da ga da da, doom da ga da da, and the way you'd play it on the oud, you'd play. You'd play, let's do D. The bass tone will be the D. The high tone will be the G. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 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 On the drum, it sounds like this. Very important, the rhythm behind this piece, to really get the feeling. It's a little bit meditative. And this piece is called Pish Daromad Esfahan. That means Pish Daromad in the mode Esfahan. And it's composed by a really famous tar player from a long time ago, Big Chekhani. And this is a beautiful Pish Daromad. Pish Daromad means that which comes before Daromad. And Daromad is an opening prelude introductory melody that we play in Persian music. Pish means before, and Daromad is prelude or introduction or opening. So Pish Daromad is an instrumental piece that goes before the Avaz section. Avaz is like singing. It can also mean song or melody. That's what Avaz is. We have Pish Daromad, then you usually have Saz and Avaz. Saz is instrument and singing, and it'll be improvised melodies. So this is how the piece goes. Now, let's try this on the high octave. This is the way I play this. We take this, what you see here, take it up an octave higher. We start on G. So that's the first measure. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Then 1, 2, and 3, 4. So we got down, 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 up, down, 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 down. And then on the oud, this is written for tar and sitar, so it's a bit different the way that we'd play it on oud. We'd play those D notes at the end with the 8 underneath. That would mean an octave lower. But for our purposes, we would just play 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So we'd play that. So let's do this melody again. We start on the G, that's where Esfahan begins. And the the fingerings that I use for this, I use second finger, first, then second finger. Nice and sharp, that E. First finger for D, open C, second finger for B, first finger for A. And F sharp, I use my third finger. I've grown accustomed to playing most of my Persian music in the second position because that's kind of our default position. We usually use second position as the default, so we're always playing A with our index finger, and then switching to first position when you need to. So for example, if I were to do a descending passage like this, then I would use my pinky later on if I wanted to go back up. And the reason why I'm in second position is that in Persian music we need to do a lot of ornamentation, so we may use the pinky finger to hit the closed C position on the G string. Do stuff like this. You need that pinky available sometimes to do that right ornamentation. Okay, let's do the second line. Okay, so we're going to do it here. Now we're going to do it on the octave above, so we're going to do it started on this G. So this is the melody. G, F, G, A, B, C, A. And this repeats. This symbol here makes it repeat. Now, this means a downstroke, but this is written for tar or sitar, so we may not pay attention to this this means an upstroke. We may not pay attention to this. We might do our own thing. The way that I usually do it is I would probably do down. So down, 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 down. Now you can do an upstroke. I did it before. But it's not necessary. Next measure elaborates on that. So it goes up to that D. Then we have a repeat of the main theme of the piece. That's starting from here and goes till here. So this part here, pretty easy to play. Okay, now I want to explain some of the ornamentation that we might do for this kind of thing. Now we have these notes that are tied here. We might do a tremolo on the G. And then we do this F with an upstroke if we're going to do that tremolo. So we do tremolo, up, 1, 2, and... Now here, we're playing the open C to do that tremolo there on the C. We might do a downstroke on the B, or we could do a fake, like a hammer-on. But because this piece is a bit slower, we don't need to do the fake, the hammer-on, to make that B come out. So we would probably just play a stroke to note. Now another way that we might ornament this part is to add a little swing. Let's like play these notes quicker together, but in the same rhythm. For example, That's beautiful. So we just play those notes, B to A quicker, and then G to F quicker. But you don't have to. You can play it straight if you like too. You can also do some vibrato on some of the notes. Now you don't have to, that first G to F, you don't necessarily have to do an upstroke on the F. I sometimes do a stroke. Depends on the speed of the piece, you really. Because this one's so slow, you can get away with doing a downstroke. Okay, let's do one more section of this. Let's see where we can get. Okay, we're gonna start here. Now this part, let's see what we do with this one. Let's take it up an octave again, just to make it comfortable. Starting on D. Notes are cut off. One moment here. Here we go. Okay, let's do that again. From D. So you'll notice here that we have a little switch from E coron to E flat. E bemol, mi bemol. On some parts of Esfahan, this is what happens when you get to a certain point. It doesn't always use the E coron. Sometimes use an E flat too. And usually it's when you're working your way down from a melody that starts on the D and comes back down to G. When you start on G, you have the sharpened E coron. So when you come from G and go down to E, you're usually going to use the E coron, and then you go back up to G. But when you have a melody that starts on the D note, then you might use E flat. This is the details of this are more complicated, but just for now, just remember that sometimes we have that E flat present as well. Let's do that again. So we got 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, F, G, A, B, C, D, C, B, A, E. Now you notice here on that way down, we use the E coron again, the sharper version of the E. And the reason for that is because of the melody, where it's going. It ascends. So it's important to use the E coron. When that descending melody uses the E flat. This is a notion that is present in Turkish music and Persian music, which is called tonal gravity. When the melody or the phrase focuses on certain degrees, sometimes the melodic phrase, when it descends, it gets the note to gravitate and flatten. Or so in this case, the D, the melody focuses on D, so it makes that E get flat because of tonal gravity. But when we go from a descending point, let's say from D up to G or E to G, the gravity of the G note is going to pulling up that, sharpening that E. Now, not all tones get affected by this. Certain notes get affected by this. And that's the the beauty of learning and going deeply into the music, is that you learn these details and which tones get affected by tonal gravity. It's a really fascinating subject. So let's develop a bit further. Okay, we're gonna read this in the same octave that we usually read. Let's go. So it starts on A. We're gonna repeat this. Now you'll notice here that the melody now focuses on the A note. This is a very important movement that is present in some modes in Persian music, especially Esfahan. Then we fill up that rhythm there with 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Now, let's go a little bit further here. Oh yeah, so what happens here is that same melody gets repeated on the octave below. Not so important, we can just repeat it on the same octave if we want. Then we go into another area. This is really nice. Starting on this D note here. This is beautiful. So what's happening here is we've got this D note, which brings the focus of that E flat, makes it flatter. And then we have the sharpened version, the E koron, goes back to E koron again. Now we have another section coming up here, which flattens that E again, because it's another descending melody. Let's let's see that one. Then we have that I was tuned to G here. Okay, let me do that part again for you. So starting from this D here. So what I tend to do is I tend to play, because I've got my C string tuned to C, my F sharp lands here, very awkward, a very little bit of a stretch. So if you're tuned to the F string, it's actually easier to play this phrase, because you just stay up here, you don't even have to move. Then you would use G for your second finger for your G, first finger for your F sharp, and all that. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you today. This is a really beautiful tune, and the next section, it goes into another section of Esfahan, which actually is a nice modulation, and it's quite beautiful. It uses B half flat or B koron. Esfahan often modulates to another dastgah called shur, and so we have these shur structures that happen here too. So for now, if you guys for taking away, maybe we'll do another follow-up lesson where we'll do part 2 of this piece. But if you can take away, at least learn the first melody. It's a beautiful little riff. piece. So yeah, thanks for joining me today. Maybe we'll do a follow-up with this and complete the piece. But for now, just want to remind you guys that I'm doing trial lessons this month for half price. If you want to delve into Persian music with me or Arabic music, whatever you like, you can give it a try. And yeah, hope you can check that out. If you have any questions at all, now is the time to ask. I will answer. Anything about getting into the oud, buying the oud, playing oud, whatever you like, I'd be happy to answer you guys. So my email address is here in case you have questions about my lessons. Alright, here we go. Alright. Okay, let's see if there's any questions here. Thanks for joining me. I think you guys are probably in the States if it's 3 a.m. and 1 a.m. And thanks for joining. Thanks, Robert. It means a lot. All right. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, now's the time to ask. Some people requested that I do Eastern time, European time zone, so that's why I'm here. But we usually have a bit more of a turnout for American time zones. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'll see if I can. I haven't played this piece in a while, but I'll see if I can play the whole piece for you so you can hear that melody. All right. So yeah, beautiful piece this is. Definitely gonna do a part 2 on this one because this melody and the way that they modulate from one dastgah, one mode to another mode in Persian music is just really done very tastefully. Yeah, one feature that about Persian music, difference between Persian music and Arabic music, is that the melodic development in Persian music is very slow and steady. You know, that it's very thought out and very it's a slower development. Usually for one set of music you stay in the same scale. There's not much variation. You have some modulations here and there that are very specific to, but it doesn't, usually it's, you just hear one key most of the time. And the melodies are just very, you know, they don't modulate so much. I always tell this story, but the first time I heard some Farid al-Atrash Oud Taksim, I kind of got turned off by it because it, you know, he modulates so much, and it was just, I couldn't digest it, you know, as a Persian musician and being exposed to Arabic music for the first time. It was jarring, very jarring to listen to, and but so it took me some time to appreciate it. But yeah, if you have any questions, let's see what we got here. There is a music sheet for this piece. Where I got it from, I actually got this from Instagram. Yeah, let's see here if I can find this for you. Let's see. Hey Gary, so best place to delve into the gravity you talked about. Okay, so you're talking about tonal gravity, right? Just clarify that. The way that the notes get flatter or sharper, depending on the phrase. Just clarify that for me. I'm gonna check out, see if I can find these notes on Instagram here. If you email me, I will also send you the notes if you want. My email is in the chat there. Let's see. Okay, this Instagram channel, Note Bank. It's all in Persian for the most part, so you have to read Persian. But if you can go there, you'll find, you search through it, you'll find lots of notes. I just screenshotted, I think, or downloaded like an image from there of this piece. A great resource. So yeah, Gary, tonal gravity. Tonal gravity, it's present in all Middle Eastern music, so it really depends on the type of music that you want to learn. But the way that we learn it in Persian music is by learning the music and studying it for some years, getting more exposed to repertoire and all that stuff. And that's how it is for all of these kind of traditions. In Persian music, tonal gravity is very specific, used in very specific places. It's not now most of the notes, like the notes that we play, stay that pitch throughout the time. But for example, in Byzantine music and Turkish music, there's more tonal gravity happening, and it happens in a more extreme way. So for example, in the same maqam, they may sharpen the note, ascending the scale, but flatten it slightly, descending the scale. So if you wanted to learn more about tonal gravity in a very extreme setting, like with a music that uses tonal gravity a lot, then you have to study Turkish music, Byzantine music, because they use it a lot. Byzantine music uses it a lot too. But it does exist in Arabic music and Persian music, but just very specifically. And in order to learn it in Persian music, you kind of just have to make your way through learning all the music, study the radif, which I teach in my private lessons as well. It's harder to learn it. To learn it in Persian music and all these traditions, because it's something that takes years to start to appreciate and to start to get. So it's a complicated one. But yeah. Would I recommend starting with Persian or Arabic music? It depends on you. They're two completely different things, so it really depends on. I mean, the basics of the oud are the same for both. There's no change there. Like Arabic and Arabic and Persian music, they also use similar tuning, different than Turkish music. So they have a common point there. The technique is like 90%, 95% the same for the beginner stuff. So for the first 2 years, let's say if you took lessons with me, you'd be learning the same material, let's say, but you'd learn different repertoire. If you were learning Persian music, then I would start to expose you to Persian tunes. The basics, the technique, and the exercises are the same that I teach somebody who's learning Arabic music too, but then I teach them Arabic repertoire so they get exposed to the music. But it really depends on your interest, and you have to listen to the music a little bit more, compare both, and see what you enjoy about each one. You could study both, but they're very different in their vibe. Like I said before, like Persian music is very heavy. The history of Persian music is heavier, and so it's a bit more meditative. I'd say it's a little bit more spiritual or inward kind of music. That's more kind of the way that Indian music is kind of inward and meditative. It's very improvisational as well. Some concerts, some masters, they perform their whole concerts just improvising, so it's that kind of a music. It's more inward kind of music, whereas Arabic music is very different vibe. Of course, you have different genres of these types of musics too, but Arabic music I find is a bit more material, a bit more danceable. And you got people cheering in the audience, shouting in the audience, that kind of energy. It's different type of vibe completely. So you should get exposed to different types of music and see which one you like, and then you can go from there. But the basics of the oud is all the same. Yeah. What's your tuning recommendation for multi-oud? Multi-oud, I recommend these days. I just recommend their standard string set. With the F to F tuning, they designed it for that. I've messed around with so many different string sets on the multi-oud, and just in the end, I kind of hated it because the bridge configuration is meant for high tension, and most string sets are lower tension for Arabic style. So I recommend just the standard string set that they have on the oud. If you can get a nice high string set, and you want to do this tuning C to C, then what you have to do is you probably have to use the strings that multi-oud Godin provides, and just find a really high tension bass string for your C, and just use the rest of the set for the other strings. That's what I would recommend. Yeah. Okay, guys, if there's no more questions, thanks so much for joining me today. Really nice to see you guys out here. I really appreciate it. If you guys are interested in oud lessons, again, you can email me, ask any questions. We can do a free consultation, or you can jump in and do a half-price trial lesson. That deal's only on until the end of the month. So yeah. Another question here, for beginner, which string should you buy? It depends on the tuning you're using. If you're using the standard Arabic tuning, so low C to high C, then I recommend for beginners the EJ95A set by D'Addario. D'Addario EJ95A. This is a great set for beginners because it's inexpensive, it's good quality, and it settles pretty soon. Yeah. So Mike, is there a good way to think of Daskal / Makamat, similarities and differences, how they relate to each other, if they even do? Yeah, that's a good question. I actually have a blog article on that, which I kind of outlined in a surface level, like what the similarities and differences are with some Makamat. Let me see if I can find you that blog article on my website, and you can take a look. It was a long time ago that I wrote that, so let's see if I can find it. I do have a page where I have all like a whole list, I think, of my my blog articles. Yes, I do. Okay, let's see if I can find it. Holy, I have a lot. Okay, first I'm going to put this one here, this link. This is the link to the index, all the blog articles that are on there. Let's see here. Oh, here it is. Okay, pretty obvious. Arabic and Persian music, Arabic maqam and Persian daskal comparison. So this was a long time ago. I may have different opinions than I did when I wrote this article. I've learned a few things here and there along the way, and I may need to update this. But you can also listen to some sound examples, which is nice. But it's a surface level thing, so it's not an in-depth kind of thing. It's just surface level, you know, just talking about what notes are used roughly, and so the intonation is also different. Like in Persian half flats and all that, they sound a little bit different than the Arabic ones. So there are some differences, intonational ones too. So yeah, check that out, and yeah, that's it for me. Thanks so much for joining me, guys, wherever you guys are listening in from, Europe or the States or wherever you guys are. Really nice to see you guys here. Thank you. And yeah, probably next week I might also have another YouTube session. Maybe I'll do it for North American time zones, and we'll continue this piece and learn the modulation and all that. All right, thanks so much. Bye, guys.